secret that the key to building sustained success in an organization is continuity. A winning culture isn't built in just one season, but takes years to establish. Then players can slowly develop within the system and gradually improve over time. Brady, Belichick, Ben, Mike Tomlin, Breeze, Peyton, Russ, and Pete Carroll. The best quarterbacks all have stable foundations around them that have been in place for years. They get to grow in systems while simultaneously the systems grow with them. All of the elite quarterbacks have this same stability, but in 2020, Deshaun Watson has proved that he is the exception. With the Texans organization slowly rotting around him, Bill O'Brien the coach struggling with Bill O'Brien the general manager, then both getting fired, the defense's decline, and DeAndre Hopkins shipped away for next to nothing, Watson has somehow only gotten better. He's staring organizational chaos directly in the face, but nonetheless, he's ascended to elite superstar territory. He's thrown for 3,500 yards, 24 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. He leads the league in yards per attempt and yards per completion, and since Bill O'Brien left, he has absolutely exploded. In the first 4 games of the season with B.O.B. still the head coach, the Texans went 0-4 and Watson had 6 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. The 8 games since O'Brien was canned, the same number of interceptions but with 18 touchdowns. Watson was already great, but since B.O.B. got fired, he's arguably been the best in the league. How was O'Brien dragging him down, and what has changed since? Deshaun was under constant pressure in those first 4 weeks, where 16 of his 33 sacks came in that time span. He was repeatedly getting hit before he could even reach the top of his drop, and playing under constant duress is an impossible situation for any quarterback. He's been sacked the most out of anybody through his first 2 full seasons, and even though that punishment is unsustainable, Watson can still make magic in ways nobody else can. Take this example from week 3 against the Steelers, where he was pressured 57% of the time. The Texans, before and after B.O.B.'s tenure, like to put Deshaun in empty formations and give him pre-snap coverage indicators. When they put a running back or tight end outside, if the defense matches with a linebacker or safety, Deshaun knows it's very likely man. But when it's a cornerback, like it is here, it's most likely zone. He sees the Steelers are in a too high look, so it's probably quarters or cover 2 zone. And since the mic is cheated to the 3 receiver side, pre-snap, Deshaun's looking at Will Fuller, who will hitch up behind the underneath coverage and in front of the safety. But as the play starts, the Steelers shift into cover 6 buzz, which is cover 3 with a weak side safety rotation. Buzz tells the weak safety to play the weak hook, which is exactly where Fuller's route is headed. Look how late Terrell Edmunds holds this disguise. It still looks like it's too high until the very last second. Watson manages not to be fooled by Edmunds, who could fly in and jump Fuller's route, and extends the play like Houdini and picks up the first. Deshaun's always been incredible at buying more time during the down, but his pocket presence and feel for the pass rush has improved dramatically. The Steelers use 2 different types of stunts to create pressure from just a 4-man rush. On the right, they have an ET stunt, and on the left, a TE. The tackle here and the end here will be the penetrators, then the end and the tackle will be the loopers. When Deshaun sees Edmunds buzzing super late into the hook, the old him might have been tempted by these wide open escape lanes and tried to scramble for the first down. But 2020 Deshaun has the poise and presence to know those are fool's gold. As both loopers fly into those open lanes, he uses his moves like Jagger and throws to Fuller for the first down to extend the drive. Now that O'Brien is gone, the Texans have put more of the offense on Watson's shoulders and asked him to do more at the line of scrimmage. Since he has more control now, he can check into plays and protections to help him get the ball out quicker, which minimizes pressure. He's always been an elite athlete, but now he's proving he has an elite mind. In week 11, it was clear that Belichick wanted him to hold the ball and force him into mistakes against exotic coverage looks. The Patriots would often show blitz, then flood the underneath coverage, but Deshaun absolutely shredded. This is one of the more advanced pressures in Belichick's repertoire called Bears One Rat. It's cover one man with what's called a simulated pressure out of a bare front. So let's dive into what exactly all of that means. The man coverage is pretty standard, but the pressure is where it gets tricky. Typically, when offenses see a 5-man defensive front, they check into a 5-0 call, which puts each offensive lineman one-on-one with each pass rusher. But that's the exact protection adjustment that this pressure is designed to attack. By dropping the two ends as zone rats, Belichick is trying to pull each of the linemen outside and bring the 4th rusher safety Kyle Duggar free up the middle. Belichick is also testing Watson's patience. If he didn't know what was coming, seeing Duggar blitz would simulate pressure for him, since if all 5 on the line rush plus Duggar, the 6-man pressure would speed up Deshaun's process. So now there's no reason to speed up, but each of the ends have fallen back to where the Texans receivers are running. But no worries, Watson is calm and collected. He knew this pressure was coming, so he checked the protection to a fan call so the guard and tackle wouldn't man up the on-the-ball defenders. Instead of being pulled outside, they easily pick up Duggar, and as Watson sees his tight end Jordan Akins screaming across the formation, he waits for him to clear the end and makes a pinpoint throw. Going back to the wide shot shows us just how special this play against this coverage really is. They're running a variation of their mesh concept where these two receivers will try and pick off the man defenders. If Watson isn't totally keyed into this Patriots coverage, he might have thrown this the moment he sees Akins gain inside leverage, but he knows the rat is laying in the weeds. Deshaun has to trust his protection and his pre-snap read to feel safe so he can confidently attack the holes in the coverage. He had to go from immediate threat of pressure to patiently waiting for a long developing route to come free. But cause he took control, adjusted the protection, and didn't rush, he can dot up the defense. Watson's been great in his first several seasons, but has often relied more on instinct or reaction to make plays. Now that he's seen defenses enough and knows and has studied their tricks, he's anticipating pre-snap what is going to happen. He's seeing those little tells and abnormalities that give away a defense's disguise, then uses those against them. In Week 6 at Tennessee, the Texans again go empty with a coverage indicator at the bottom of the screen, with the running back David Johnson to the outside and safety Kevin Byard matching him, plus both corners on the same side matched on the 2 wide receivers. This information tells Watson that the Titans are in man, or that's what they want him to think. When Deshaun sees Harold Landry, who rushes 80% of the time flexed over the tight end Pharaoh Brown, he knows that Landry almost never plays man, and that when he is in coverage, it's almost always zone. The Texans are running their Patriot concept, where Brown will either run the slot fade if it's man, or bend towards the seam if it's zone, and Watson knows the Titans don't want Landry manned up on a slot fade. He's right, they're disguising cover 3 zone, so he knows that if his pre-snap educated guess is correct, Brown will shoot past Landry and bend up the seam. As he takes his drop and sees Landry visioning him and not flipping his hips, with Byard gaining depth in a deep third technique, the moment Brown clears Landry, Deshaun rockets the ball in well before the safety can blow it up. He's playing the game out in his mind before the snap, so he's already prepped for whatever wrinkles the defense are gonna throw at him. Without Bill O'Brien, he has more of the offense on his shoulders, which gives him more control over his pre- and post-snap reads so he can be that much more aggressive with his decisions. Here the Colts are playing cover 6 Sky, which is like cover 6 Buzz, which we looked at before, but instead of the weak safety rotating inside, he's rotating outside. The Colts are trying to set a trap for Deshaun by positioning their weak hook defender Darius Leonard inside a couple steps. They want Deshaun to think he has room on this slant flat dragon concept, where typically the flat route pulls the safety outside, opening the window for the slant. If Deshaun wants to hit the slant, he better do it fast, or Leonard is going to jump in front and walk it into the end zone. But if you know there's a trap before it happens, you know how to manipulate it, and Watson whips it just inside of Leonard. You can see the safety start to creep down and Leonard just a little inside, but just by a step or two. Watson has to do everything he can to stall Leonard for just a sec, and he just barely gets it past his outstretched hands. Watch his eyes the entire time. He's starting to the right to hold Leonard away from that spot while knowing the whole time exactly where he's going. He knows he doesn't have time to plant and throw, so he actually begins his motion as he's selling to the right. He gives a glance to Leonard just as he's winding up, which freezes him that extra half step. then he throws a dime. This is what it takes to be an elite NFL quarterback. Every little tiny detail has to be executed perfectly, with every millisecond critical just to gain a fraction of an inch. It's why so many fail, because they don't have the anticipation, pre-snap ability, or overall talent that Watson possesses. The Texans have found themselves in a unique situation. They have maybe the best quarterback in the league, but almost everything else around him is in need of a major rebuild. He is Patrick Mahomes, but without any of the benefits, continuity, the front office stability, the coach, the O-line, the weapons, system, or play calling. But despite all of that, and the team being just 4-8, he is still absolutely balling out of his mind. Firing Bill O'Brien was the first step to starting from the ground up and building around Watson like they rightfully should. The Texans have what looks to be an all-time great at the most important position. Now it's time to stabilize their organization and bring in the right coach and GM who can create the continuity that Deshaun needs to help him reach his full potential. The 2020 season has overall been a disappointment, but it can also be looked at as the start of something new. A year that's reached rock bottom, but now can begin to climb its way back towards the top. The Texans have the quarterback, and he is a bad man. The most important piece of the organization is set. So from now, heading into the future, what are they going to do?